and one of our two parties being taken over by something that is such a serious threat. The conversation continued with New York Times reporter Jeremy Peters discussing how recent DSA communist candidates have done an impressive job of better concealing their true agenda from the broader electorate.
Some of them, I mean, this is why El Said did quite well in Michigan. This is why the woman who is running against Karen Bass as mayor of L.A. is doing quite well, because they've learned how to sand down the rougher edges, and they don't talk about socialism. They don't talk about seizing the means of production and stuff like that. They're getting, many of them, some of them are not quite ready for prime time, let's be clear, but a lot of them have really done a good job of selling themselves to the public as quite reasonable mainstream politicians.
Selling themselves to the public. They're not talking about seizing the means of production. They almost feel like legitimate mainstream politicians who don't want to bankrupt the country, starve you to death, or throw you in prison if you protest their power. Oh, that's good. He actually uses Abdul El Sayed as an example in that. Hassan Piker's buddy, who always just wants to talk about the cost of living issues in the country and not really give up his real agenda, which God knows. The moderates had better wake up. In Michigan, Mike Rogers right now is reaching out to the middle. You don't need to elect an Egyptian communist just because you hate Donald Trump. That is the message. You will regret it. The same regret New Yorkers feel over Mamdani right now. Or how about in Seattle, which is maybe the worst case of regret we have seen so far. 53% of Seattle Democrats, not Seattle voters, 53% of Seattle Democrats are not just unhappy with their DSA communist mayor, they are demanding a full recall election to get rid of her. 53% of Democrats in a city that blue. Katie Wilson has been a disaster for that city. Terrible marks from voters on drug use, homeless encampments, safety. Is anybody actually surprised? Did they really think this would go well? All these people that have this regret, that are demanding a new election? This was an unemployed 40-year-old woman who was still getting an allowance from her dad. She was a community activist, which means she was a loser. That means unemployed. And you decided to let her run your entire city. Just control all of Seattle. Bragging about driving the hardest working, most prosperous and wealthy people away from her city, as we heard her do.
I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown, and if the ones that leave, like, bye.
It's just a 40-year-old chick with not a brain in her head, just been screaming her whole life. Community activist. Now you're the mayor. Now you get to just run the city. Same story with Mamdani, seeing it all over the place. Democrats can't wait to vote for people that have spent absolutely none of their life living in reality. They love this right now. It's very fashionable. Community activists who've never worked, getting wire transfers from their parents while holding up propaganda signs on the side of a road at noon on a Tuesday. Yeah, let's let her run the city. And then they're shocked when the city is a dump. Right now, there's a communist insurgency. Seems like it's all around us, weaponizing the left's hatred of Donald Trump. That's how they're getting in. They know there's this visceral hatred of Trump. And people's reaction is, let's elect the craziest person we can find, the most opposite of him we can find. And that's allowing voters to make horrible primary choices out of anger toward their orange Hitler, threatening our country in a very real way. Everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.